What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another day in Car Mechanic Simulator 2021 with me, the Virtual Mechanic. And today's project, we finally got one. It is the Mazda MX-5, or Miata if you're one of my American friends, but please don't call it a Miata. It's an MX-5. Anyway, enough of that. This is a beautiful little car. This is a Patreon exclusive from Payne. So if you do want access to this one, there is a link in the description below. Head over to patreon.com/deadbob777. I believe. I will put a link on screen just in case that one is wrong, and grab this one for yourself. I think you need to sign up at the Garage Monkey level, something like that. Pretty easy, and you can get access to lots more stuff from Payne's Patreon. This is just one of the things that are included, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you once again to Payne. Thank you for giving me access to this beautiful MX-5. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into this one, having a bit of fun with it, and let's just talk about the version we've gone for today. That's not the screen I want. It is the Uno's Roadster Touring Car MX-5. So we'll be taking this one around the racetrack. We did get it from the auction house, and it's feeling a little bit sorry for itself, but the frame and parts aren't too shabby, if we're being honest. The engine in it currently is the i4 2-litre double overhead cam rear-wheel drive engine, and we're going to swap it to the i4 2-litre double overhead cam turbo rear-wheel drive engine, thanks to a TK Aftermarket. So we're going to put probably a slightly bit more powerful engine into this one. Hopefully a few more tuning options on the turbo equivalent. That was a selection from one of my fans. Thank you very much for that one. We'll cover more on that in a bit. But there we go. It is looking good. As I said, this is a Patreon exclusive, so if you do want access, there is only one way to get it. There is a link in the description below. Head over to Payne's Patreon or Dead Bob's Patreon, sign up and get yourself some exclusive mods that aren't available anywhere else. Now, enough about that. Let's talk about something else that isn't available anywhere else. Head over to virtualmechanic-shop.fourthwall.com. There is a couple of new items on there, and we're going to head outside because I said if this one or if any of my builds come in the top 3, we will be making a Signature Series t-shirt and mug. So I've done one for the Huna van, as you guys did vote it the top one I've ever built, with this score of 10 out of 10. Thank you very much for that one. So there is now a Huna a Signature Series t-shirt and mug available on the shop. So head over there, check it out. Maybe grab yourself one or something else. There is an art section that's coming soon. And the reason that's only coming soon is because I want to order one of the biggest sizes to check the quality before I allow this one to go out to everybody. So it might be a little while before the art series stuff comes out, but we shall see what happens with that one. I've put it as coming soon. There's nothing up there yet, so go feel free to take a look. But do have a look at the Signature Series with this beautiful Huna van. I'm not sure how long it'll stay up for. It's up until the end of November at the moment. That's the maximum limit I've put on it, but it may come down early because of, you know, some logos on there that I might get in trouble for. We shall find out. Hopefully not. Fingers crossed on that one. But if you could go and grab one of them, definitely be very, very helpful. As for the art, as I say, as soon as I come into some money and can afford to order myself some test prints of these, once I've got that done, I'll let you all know and let you know whether it is or isn't going live, depending on the quality. Hopefully, it's quite good. But anyway, back to our beautiful little MX-5. There's that little bit of clearance out the way. That's that taken care of. Everything else is ready. So now let's jump in and see, did we get a good deal for our beautiful little MX-5? Here we go. We did. I'm shocked by that. 14,822 is what I paid, and I can currently sell it for a profit of 15,118, making 296. But we're not going to do that. We have got our work cut out ahead of us today. We're going to take out that engine. I'm just going to... No, so I don't mess up my money, I'm going to strip it down and scrap it off. That's what I'm going to do. We are going to buy a brand new engine to go in there, fully tuned, ready to go, so we don't have to mess around too much with that one. In fact, we can probably just do that now, can't we? So let's jump in. What engine are we buying? It's the i4 2-litre double overhead cam turbo rear-wheel drive from TK. So let's go into our shop. We're going to press Z to swap this one around engines and then tuned engines. And we want to find... Oh, that one just there. That is the one. Is that the one? I think that's the one. The i4 2-litre double overhead cam turbo rear-wheel drive TK engine for 17,000... No, 15,152, which is actually pretty good. So let's get that purchased right now and get that one put on the stand and see what it looks like with all its performance parts. On you go. And there are some performance parts on there. It doesn't look like too many. That looks like a throttle. The exhaust looks performance. Obviously, your standard bits, including the one idle roller on there, our performance as well. Although something's not right at the front here. What is going on here? Oh, it's pit an aftermarket pulley on there, and that aftermarket pulley doesn't work with this belt system because it doesn't have the inner wheel, I guess. So we're just going to have to change that pulley on there, which will cost us a little bit more money later. I'll figure that one out as we go. But it does look like it's got performance parts on there, turbos and stuff like that. We'll see what else. I don't think we'll be able to add anything else to it, but we will get it stripped down and a fresh coat of paint looking awesome a little bit later on. But we've got our work cut out before we get to there. So here we go. It is the beautiful Mazda MX-5. Let's get this beautiful little beast cleaned up. I mean, there isn't much of it, but let's get it all cleaned up before we start stripping it down, ready to make this beautiful car shiny and new, ready to do some laps around the racetrack. Let's get this beautiful little MX-5 all clean then and ready to go. On we go with that car wash. Let's get it all shiny. See what colour it is underneath that dust and grime. A lovely little blue. Little MX-5. Didn't mean to go that. Little MX-5 in blue. It looks quite nice. I do like this body kit with like the bumpers extended out at the back. Obviously, I do like the sponsorship decals on this carbon fibre piece at the bottom as well. And I can't wait to see how the front end is going to look on this. The back end looks fantastic. The front end are obviously not together. But anyway, let's get the interior done on this little beast. Get it back on the lifter. Get that engine out of there. And then get everything else stripped down. Ready for this to be the most awesome race car you've ever seen. The MX-5 is in the air, looking pretty good. And I can see our first issue, sadly, which is the main part of the exhaust clips through the underside of this. So, later on, probably just paint that part invisible so that we can't actually see it. I think that would be... This whole piece is the rear bumper, by the way. But anyway, I think we'll paint that part invisible so that it can't be seen. Just to make it look a little bit better, because this should be completely flat, especially for our track car or our touring car, whatever we're going to call it. But let's try and get to that engine. So we're going through the suspension, and we can see we have got the oil pan. So we need to get that one drained off first. So let's go and grab our oil drain, get it over to the MX-5, and see if this drains out. It does. Not very much of it, but it was pretty clear. So that shows us that we're relatively good stead for what we've got going forward. But let's jump in further. We need to get this gearbox out of here, which means we need to take the starter out. Out you come, nice and simple. Now, we are missing a drive shaft, so I'm just going to add that to my basket right now so that we don't forget that one a bit later on. But let's get this gearbox out of here. Out you come with our first rusty bolt. Nice and simple. And I think we're going to need this front exhaust section, which we can't do because we've got to do it from... We've got to get these two pieces out first. So that means we won't be able to pull this engine out. So let's give it a bash. Let's put you back down. We're going to need to jump into that engine bay and get these covers and stuff off of here. So off we come with the exhaust manifold cover and our next set of rusty bolts, fully rusted out on this engine. Even though, there we go, that's what we want. The manifold and a selection more rusty bolts on there. So we're going to have to grease up, oil up, and get yanked out. Out you come. Out you come. All of this so we can take off that front exhaust section that we're going to paint invisible anyway. But there we go. Back up you go, Mazda. And then let's get that front exhaust section out so we can pull that little i4 engine out of there. Not that we're keeping it anyway, but I am going to strip it down so that we can scrap off the parts. So that we can build a better build in the future. But there we go. That should be everything out for the engine. Back down you come now. Let's go and grab the engine crane and see if we can pull that i4 engine out in one go. That's what we like to see. Nice and simple. There we go. Right now, let's get in and check what we've got going on in this beautiful little Mazda. Now, we know we were missing the drive shaft, but I think that's all we were missing from that part there. We have got some bushings missing all across here. So all four front bushings are missing. That's pretty nice. I like it when that happens. I've got to buy new ones anyway, so it makes no difference. We do have the sway bar end links, the inner and outer tie rods, and stuff like that. Down at the back, we are missing more. So we've got some more bushings missing. 3 of the 4 main sets of bushings missing in there. We've got a shock missing on this side, an arm, which means 1 big and 1 smaller bushing missing there as well. All of the springs set up for the back on this side. But I do... Oh, 1 lower arm there, which also means 2 more smaller bushings. Another regular bushing just there. Lots of bushings missing on this one. But that appears to be about it. So that's not too shabby. We can get all that suspension stuff sorted out a little bit later on. But for now, we need to drain the liquids. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Is there no power steering? No power steering in our little MX-5. We're going to have a work cut out for us around the track later. But anyway, now we need to go back into normal mode. Right-click, additional tools, and drain tool so that we can get all these liquids drained out without spilling anything on the floor. There we go. I'm going to get the rest of this all stripped, sorted, ready to go back in. Obviously work out the costs and everything. And I'll be back with you all in just a little while. That's everything mechanical sorted for our beautiful little MX-5. Now we need to sort out all of this bodywork. So let's just start by stripping it all off. Car part 5. Lovely little piece just on there. What else have we got at the front? Probably not a lot. I think most of it's missing. We do have a door and obviously the rear right fender, which is the rear fender as well as the side skirt on there. That big old rear bumper that covers the entire floor as well. Plus car part 4 in there. Tail light, anything above here. Trunk piece, is that with the spoiler or is that separate? I couldn't quite see. I think it might have been separate, but there we go. Anything else at the back here? Doesn't look like it. Round to the other side, no side skirt fender on there. That looks to be pretty much it for the bodywork. We've just got one passenger seat to take out. So let's get you out. Out you come. Nice and simple. I think I'm just going to put them seats back in because they do look pretty good in this build. Well, they did from there at least anyway, even if they were a bit scruffy. But have we got everything? Don't want that screen. I want this screen down at 1% on there. Just double check on here. Car part 2D. So we do still have something in there. What is? I think it might be a gear shifter. There it is. Out you come. Nice and easy. Now let's just double check. Nothing showing up on there. And 1% down on there. Interior's at 25%, but that's because there's only 3 pieces for it. We are down to the bare frame. We're not swapping it. We're keeping it as it is. Looking pretty tasty. Just have a quick look. Frame's at 33%, and we bought the car for a little under 15,000. What do we reckon? This could be a tricky one. It's a race edition, a special edition. I think it's going to be a little bit higher, so I'm going to go 2,750. I was totally, completely wrong on there. So 750 for the framework. Let's jump in, though, and check out the full body shop for this MX-5. There she is. There we go. Gear shifter. I thought I'd seen it somewhere. So we've got gear shifter options to play with on there. We've got center console and dashboard stuff to play with on there. Antenna and trunk trim. Okay. So we'll have a play with that a bit later. Probably going to put this one together mostly as it was. We'll just check out some of the parts as we go. We do have a few exhaust options, although I think we're using this dual exhaust one, so I think we're sticking with that one there. Car part 5. Oh, this was this piece, so I think we're going to stick with that one as it was. Use the front bumpers E to N. Yeah, that's 5. So then we're on the front bumpers E to N, so we can use basically any one of these with the tongue piece. I don't know, whatever you call that. There is an additional one there. But as I say, this will be going back together mostly the same as it came apart. We'll probably do a custom MX-5 later that's going to be a bit different. Then we've got front clamshells, which is our roof options. Now, I wanted the sort of like fastback style. These all look like just the hard top, then the convertible with the roof down. I'm not sure if that's meant to be a hard top or not, but it doesn't look like we do have the hard shell fastback that I was after, which is a bit of a shame, but we can still make it look cool probably with whatever's meant to come on it, which I believe is probably one of these roll cage ones or a full hardcover if we want to. Then we've got front end, which looks like vent holes or lights, if you were. Lots of different door options, window options, front fender options. There's quite a few of them at door, window, front fender. Hood options, loads of them to play around with. Some light options, little droopy lights, half opened, I'm assuming, although I do quite like these, but we'll probably go closed or something like that. That's quite cool. Or a cover with a little extra air vent in there. More playing around with that later. A few mirror options, tail light options, plenty of rear bumper options, along with some rear clamshell options as well. The fenders, there's loads of pieces. There's absolutely loads on this. We've still got 3 pages to go. These are rear left fenders still. Then we've got rear right fenders. The other side of the headlights, the other side of the mirrors, the other side of the tail lights, trunk pieces all along here. So that spoiler was included with the trunk, but I do feel like there was a secondary spoiler on there. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out anyway. So lots of trunks and then a few windshield options as well with external kill switches, banners and things like that. So there is lots of stuff to play around with on this wonderful MX-5. I do think if you can afford to sign up to Payne's Patreon, or Dead Bob's Patreon, should I say, you definitely should to get this one. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of different options you could play around with. and I can't wait to get this beautiful little car finished. So I'm going to go sort out all the bodywork, buy the panels we need to buy, repair the panels we have to repair. As I said, I'm going to primarily pin it back together as it came apart, with the missing pieces. Obviously, we may chuck a few different options on there just to play around with a few bits, but predominantly it'll go back together as it came apart. So I'm going to go sort all of that out. We'll come back, get it back together, and then put this little beast into the paint shop, see if there's any liveries, and decide on a colour for our racing MX-5. Let's get right back into it then and get this beautiful MX-5 all back together, not looking like a standard MX-5. Now, I have bought a few pieces to play around with, not lots, but we'll see. So for the hood, I'm just sticking back on with the standard hood, which is the M hood on there. Although I am still thinking whether I should do that now. But anyway, right headlight, we may play around with that later. Right headlight, in you go. That's the one that we're going to stick with. But I did buy this a droopy one just so you can see how it looked on there. And I do think it looks pretty cool. Leave that one on for a moment. The front bumper, we've gone for the O, which is the one it wants. It's got this carbon fibre lower bottom lip here, which looks really, really nice. And also our little tongue piece that just goes in there, poking through, looking quite nice. Then up here, our front ends, it wants us to go with these. We're going to put them in for the moment, but we're probably going to swap them a little bit later. Obviously, we'll come back and swap that light. They just look a bit boring, in my opinion. That's not going to stick like that, but there we go. Front fenders are the K fenders, just a little bit of wide body on this one, looking quite nice in my opinion. And for the windshield, this is the one it wants, which is the Gran Turismo one with the external kill switch, obviously with the Gran Turismo banner. I quite like it, so we're going to stick with that one there. Doors, I didn't really mess around with these. These are just the ones that came on it. They fit well. It's got like the race car theme. If we just go around to the other side, you can see it's mostly a blank door panel, just ingress options in there. There we go. Same on the other side for that door. And then for our interior, car part 3, I've left this one as it is, which is part 3E, which has got your main dashboard, your main center console, sorry, and then your main dashboard digital gauges on there. For the gear shifter, it wants this little one, which I'm not a big fan of. So before I forget that, I'm going to just pop that one back out, and we're going to swap that one in for this slightly longer one, which I feel like it's just going to be a little bit better for racing. My opinion. Not necessarily how it's going to work. Up here, we've got our little cheeky windows. In you go. And the windows that we've gone for, the ones it wants, which is the window E, which are power windows. You don't get any glass in this part, just a little piece in that front quarter. Mirrors, carbon fibre mirrors. The MX-5 right side mirror B, looking very nice on there. Obviously, I wanted to keep some carbon fibre because we've got carbon fibre going on at the front as well. So let's match that mirror on the other side. And then obviously our side skirts, these are just the ones that came on it. They're the Rocket Bunny ones. They look quite good. And obviously we've got some sponsorship stuff down there. And more of that carbon fibre looking very, very nice. Also, it's a bit of a wide flare. We like a wide flare in this channel. On we go. Let's get the other side on. And then I was going to play around with this, but I figured I'd just keep it the convertible race car that it's supposed to be rather than putting a hard top on this one. If there was that sort of fastback style one, definitely would have gone for that. But we haven't got it. So we're going to go for this one here. Plus the extra pieces of carbon fibre on there. Looking very nice. Rear bumper, I have just left this one as it is. The rear bumper K, it already looks quite good. There's no carbon, well, there's a little splash of carbon fibre just at the bottom. Mostly just sort of mesh or fencing wiring. Fencing? Grills and grates is what they're definitely called, not fencing. And there we go. The exhaust, this was the only twin exhaust on there, which is the car part 4I for use with the rear bumper K. As you can see, it fits in there pretty nicely. Then we'll move up our beautiful trunk piece. I left that one as it was again, trunk I. It is the double spoiler. You've got a little dovetail lip and then your big spoiler on the top, both in the carbon fibre. Looking very, very nice. Then for our rear clamshell, I've bought two. This is the one it wants, the F. On you go there. And we'll put the standard light. I'll go the other side. Put the standard light in there. In you go. That's the one we had with it. If I was keeping this one, I think I would probably switch it to this tail light, just because it looks a little nicer, in my opinion. More race car vibes. But we're not keeping either of them or this rear clamshell. We're going to come out of that and go into this one. And we're going to use the Vari? Don't know. Anyway, it looks good. So we're popping that one on there. Fully blacked out. There's another one exactly the same that's also carbon fibre if you wanted that. I just think it would look a bit weird, not carbon fibre, than just a random carbon fibre section. So I've left it off for the minute. But we do also put different lights in this ones. I'm going for these ones here, the tail light E. I think they look slightly better than the alternative, which is the taillight D. They do look quite nice. They just don't fit it, in my opinion. That one fits it a little better. So out with you. Pop you back in. Get you in there. There we go. That's the rear end all taken care of. Now, car part 1, the one it wants is this standard antenna chrome trunk trim. You see chrome trunk trim in there with the antenna, but I don't really want an antenna. I'll be honest with you. So we're going to delete the antenna and put painted trunk trim in there. So that'll be body coloured, whatever that comes out with. So we don't end up with just a little chrome splash somewhere. There we go. I think that's about it. We do need to swap our headlight out with that droopy one, back into our standard flat one. And we do also want to take out this front end and swap in these beautiful little Rocket Bunny ones there with the sort of, I don't know, LEDs, 5 LEDs on each side. It looks nice. That's what I'm going with. There is another one of these that's the same with a little logo, but that only works with a specific bumper and not the bumper we are using. I think that's it. Or do we want to play around with the hood? So let's jump back into the body shop, because I didn't really play with the hoods. I played with some other bits, but forgot about the hoods. Now, I think we're currently using this one here. We could swap it to the carbon fiber one. That might look quite good. Or we just go for a different style hood altogether. We're using the garage. I don't know whether that's meant to be Vary. I don't know. I have no idea what that word's meant to say on there, but it is what it is. So how about we just test a few? Let's buy... That's like this one in carbon, but with latches. Let's get one of them. Is there a carbon? I suppose we'll just buy one of them. If we like the carbon, we can swap it back. We'll buy one of them as well. And I quite like the look of this one with the big indent and the vents on it. Although, do we go for that one? This one looks a lot racier. So let's just try a few options. I've bought a couple. Let's see what we like. We go on to here. We'll start with D, because that seems logical. That is just got a little sort of dipped scoop in the middle there. I don't really see that one being effective. The carbon fiber, it might look better when there's colour on the body later. It does have latches. It does look pretty cool, but I'm not sure. So let's try a different one. On we go. So we just did D. Let's go G next. I do prefer the venting on that one. I think that looks better. I do think that looks better, actually. I quite like that one. So far, our winner is G. So let's see some other options. So we'll go for N. No, we will go for D next. No, we've done D. We'll go for I next. Alphabetical order and all that. Now, I do like the fact that this is carbon vents on there, but the hood itself looks a little meh. I do quite like it, though. Maybe we'll come back to that one. Let's have a look. That was I. So now we should go for... I forgot which ones I've tried now. We haven't tried this one here, have we? We started with D, so we haven't tried M. Or M is the one we started with. There we go. Pop you on with the carbon fiber. Hood latches with arrows, more race car vibe. And power shut-off emergency up there. It's just... It's a bit boring. It's a bit boring. The one I like the most, honestly, is between this one here with the carbon vents, although the main part of the hood's a bit boring, or this one here with all the cutouts. So if we go back into the shop, that's full carbon with carbon vents. I'm not sure how I feel about that. There's no other ones with just carbon vents, is there? I do like the carbon vents. I think we're going to go for... No, I really like that. I'm going to stick with that. There we go. Decision made. Let's just stick with that one. Stop being indecisive. 100% on there. 100% on the frame. We just need to get some interior in. This is the final version that we are going with. I do like that hood. What I'm going to do is, obviously, when I calculate the bodywork, interior, and framework prices, I'm going to sell the rest of this remaining bodywork so it all sort of balances, if you know what I mean. I haven't overspent because I'm selling some of the pieces that, well, all of the pieces I don't use back in. But let's, for a minute, get on and get this interior in. As I said, keeping with the GW500 seats, they're very sort of race car vibe. They fit it, and we should be able to throw some extra colours on the trim pieces a little bit later on, which will look quite smart. As for the steering wheel, the original one, I haven't got anymore because I didn't have it in the first place. So I swapped it in with the VMA steering wheel. And if we just jump into photo mode and nip back in, you can see that it's got an ever so slight little lump lip at the top there. But apart from that, it all fits quite nicely. So this should all be up to 100% apart from parts. That's what we like to see. All of the 100% on there. Let's get this beautiful little touring car into the paint shop. See if there's any liveries. and decide on the lovely colours for this one today before we take this beast around the racetrack. In the paint shop with our beautiful MX-5, looking pretty tasty, even with all this colour mismatch stuff going on. I quite like the style of it. It looks very good. First things first, though, let's go check some liveries. So we do have arrows, which means we at least have one. So we go slot number 1, black cage. I didn't even notice. Was this a different colour before? It is. So you can have the cage body coloured or a black cage. I quite like the black cage. I hope that's available with some other options if there is some. Then we've got black Mazda vinyl. Oh, is that on the windshield? That might be on the windshield, but because we've got the Gran Turismo badge, it doesn't work. So maybe. It's the only thing I can think of as to why that and the white one isn't showing up either. That's a bit of a shame, but I suppose I could go buy a windshield, but I mean, the fact that it's not on the body means I'm probably not that interested, and I quite like the Gran Turismo up there. So I think we're going to leave that as that. That was all of the liveries. There was no others, so I think we're just going to go back to that black cage, because that did look quite smart, even on the blue body, which I'm definitely not sticking with. So let's jump in and have a look at some of the factory options. We've got gloss white. Gee, it's quite a nice gloss white as well, isn't it? It's not too in your face. But anyway, then we've got, I'm assuming, a slightly yellowed gloss white, kind of like the white we did on that pickup, the Ford F100. Then a metallic silver, gloss black, bit too plain. We've got a bright gloss yellow. We could do that. That could be a bit interesting, especially if we've got no liveries to play around with. What else we got? Gloss red. I've done a lot of red recently. We've got this sort of gloss blue, kind of, I think that's what was on it. Oh, then the metallic blue. That looks better. I'm still not feeling the blue, though, if I'm being honest. The deep metallic blue, that's quite nice. Then we've got this plum purple colour. Purple plum. I'm going to go with plum. I think it looks a bit plum-like. Metallic plum. Not you'd ever get one of them, but there we go. Metallic plum. I quite like it. What else have we got? Then a gloss green. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a British racing green or something like that. But I really like that plum. So I think that's what we're going to go with. What is the colour? 330, 57, 50 on there. So that's the colour, obviously, in the metallic finish. I like that. We're going to do the bolts exactly the same. I may have already been in and had a cheeky little look and decided what I was going to do, but no problem. So we're going to go with the bolts for roughly the same colour, although I do believe these finish in gloss instead of metallic, so it might be a slight bit different. But I think that's what we're going to go with. All sleeve painting, all screws, including the bolts on the rims, because I like that when they show up sometimes. So I think that's what we're going to go with. As for the interior, I mean, it's looking pretty nice in the all black. We do have a little splash of purple on the steering wheel there. If we just take a seat, it's just done the little logo in that body colour purple. That's probably going to be closer to how the bolts turn out. But it's still quite nice. Do we do a splash of purple on these seats? Or do we maybe do a splash of carbon fibre on the seats? Something like that might be quite nice. Maybe a bit of carbon fibre on the seats, like on these plasticky bits here, if I can get it without making this bit carbon fibre as well, because that might look a little bit weird. We shall see. I am going to play with the seats. Maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll put a splash of white in there, because we've got obviously white lettering down here as well, which will look quite nice. We open the hood. The engine bay itself is incredibly plum and carbon fibre, so I'm probably not going to do too much plum on the engine. Probably chrome black carbon fibre. Something along those lines might look quite nice in there. I think that's what we're going to go for. Not fully sure yet. I'll have to get everything painted and see how it all turns out. But there we go. That's the finished body. Looking pretty fantastic. There are going to be a couple of slight little changes, but obviously I'll talk about them with you anyway. So there we go. The colour looks good. Let's get it back on the lifter. Let's start getting everything else painted to look good on this specific touring car build before we take this beast around the racetrack. We got everything painted on our beautiful little MX-5. Looking fantastic in this sort of plum purple, as I've been calling it. I do like it. I do think it looks very nice, especially with all the carbon fibre accents going on around. And the white writing does also add to it as well, you know, with the Gran Turismo banner on the front. It all looks pretty good, in my opinion. I'm quite happy with how it all turned out. But before we get into anything else, let's jump in and take a look at the engine bay and engine. It's all looking pretty nice in here. There is 2 weaves of carbon fibre, which is a little bit disappointing. I went for a thicker weave on all of this sort of stuff around here, as you can see, because it sort of matches in, or closer matches in, with the weave that's on the floor plan down there and what you've got sitting around at the front up here. But then it doesn't quite match in with what's on the engine, which is a much tighter weave, as you can see on all of that there. Everything that's carbon on the engine's got a much tighter weave on it. And the reason for that is I went to go for the bigger weave, but it was like almost double the size of this bigger weave on this one here. So it looked really, really out of place. So I decided not to go with that. We'll leave these ones on the bigger weave and we'll go for that slightly smaller weave on the engine. We do have the purple bolts on there as well. They aren't quite the same colour as all the purples we've got going on, but they are very, very close. The rest of it is just in a steel black, chrome, or a lovely little matte black there on the belts. And I think that's about it. It's just purple, chrome, steel black, and a little splash of carbon fibre. In fact, I can't even remember what colour. Oh, yeah, this is steel black and chrome. In fact, I don't think it's steel black. I think I've gone for metallic black, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, that's a metallic black and chrome on there, not a steel black. Oh, yeah, because we're using chrome, so we couldn't use the steel black. But I do think it all looks pretty good. If we jump down into the suspension, we got lots of metallic blacks on the cross member here. This is a bit of steel black because I wanted a tiny hint of purple on there, so that went steel black instead of metallic black. Carbon fibre on the shocks with purple springs, purple brake calipers, purple sway bar up here, and then purple inner and outer tie rods with also the beautiful bushings on there. It's all looking quite nice. Down the back, obviously it's very similar. Carbon fibre on the suspension stuff. Even on the springs around the back here, they're carbon fibre as well. Obviously the springs are purple. The sway bar end link is in purple as well, along with the sway bar and all the bushings. It's pretty much similar to the front. The fuel tank is in a metallic black, and then the fuel pump is carbon fibre. And we've got purple and carbon fibre on that drive shaft, which, in fact, we got purple, carbon fibre and chrome on that drive shaft, and I've no idea how I managed to do that. That's 3 different colours on the drive shaft. We've got aftermarket carbon fibre, my purple, and then a little bit of chrome knuckling on there as well. I don't know how I've managed that. I'm impressed with myself. But anyway, the drive shaft doesn't perfectly line up, which is a little bit of a shame. I could jump into the car editor and change it very easily. But there we go. The exhaust does pop out the bottom of this one, hence why I've painted it invisible, so you can't see it anymore. You can just see the outline up there. And there is no rest of the exhaust connecting it all up. In fact, if I jump out and go back in, you can see the exhaust from the rear end comes through here. In fact, if we go into photo mode, we'll be able to see how far it actually goes. In we go, in through there. It runs down through the center. So if you wanted to connect something up, it wouldn't be too hard. It does finish there, so you could make your own pipes going into the back, maybe from the standard exhaust or from pipes by Multiply. That would be my preferred choice. But there we go. So you could line it up if you wanted to. You do have a bit of exhaust going into the middle there. We're happy to sometimes play pretend because it is a game at the end of the day. We can't make everything perfect. Some things are going to clip. Some things aren't going to be quite as you would expect, but they still look cool and they still function. So we don't mind it when it happens like that sometimes. I get it. They're making, especially the modders, they're making a lot, especially with this Mazda, there is a lot of configs to go through and hand fine-tune custom exhaust pieces for every single config. I mean, we'd have a new game before they'd finish their first mod. It would be pointless. It would take way too long. I don't see the point. You want to put custom exhaust on it, you slap them on yourself. It's that simple. Multy's made the parts. You just need to put them in a config. Have fun. Go and do it. That's what part of this game is all about. But there we go. Enough of that. This is the beautiful little Mazda. Almost finished. Last thing to go on is just a nice set of rims. So let's get on with that as we go. I've gone for the Volk GTC style rims today. These are the ones. There's an A and a B. They're available with A.K.A. Aftermarket, I think. I can't confirm that. Multiply made the rims. I know that. Anyway, they're for the fronts. We've gone for an 18-inch rim with a 235 width. A 30 profile, I don't know what I'm doing on the small text down here, and an ET of 25 for the front. So the ET is a little bit bigger at the front there, and obviously we've got them purple bolts, but they're looking good in a pearl white, and they're standard black on there. They do look quite nice. Down at the back, slightly different size, still sort of the same size, an 18-inch rim, 235 width, and a 30 profile, but only ET of 20 needed at the back. So you don't need to stick them out quite as far, even though they're the same width of wheel. But it should look pretty good. We'll step out of here for a second. You can see on there, tiny bit of overlap of the fender there. And if we go down to the back, it should be the same tiny bit of overlap on the fender, or very similar. There we go. Sticking out all the same way. So let's get the other side on and get this car all finished and ready to go. We've obviously got to get it dynoed. Then we've got to put this beast around the racetrack. See if we can beat the current track laptop king. I don't even know how to say that anymore, which I believe is the Evo with a 116.119. Let's get up to the board and have a look. Oh, 116.119, absolutely nailed it for the Evo 10 KS edition. That, I mean, we know that's going to be a challenge to beat. It's sat there for a very long time, and our closest is more than 5 seconds out. So, I don't think we're going to be beating it anytime soon. Maybe it's a combination of my driving and the car. I think it's mostly my driving, if we're being truly honest. But there we go. This is the beautiful Mazda finished. Let's get you back down on the ground. Let's get it outside in the sun for a quick check over in the sunlight before we dyno this beast and then send it to the racetrack. Who doesn't love a pop-up and down headlight Mazda MX-5? I wonder if the lights pop up. They do not. They turn on from the front markers, which makes perfect sense. I kind of understand that. I wonder if any of the models, Payne managed to get them to pop up. That would be interesting to find out if any of the models pop up. One thing I did notice, by the way, I don't know if any of you eagle-eyed viewers out there noticed it today. Obviously, I don't do quite as much coverage of the internal bits of the car as I used to. But there's no battery in this. It doesn't have a battery. And yet, somehow, it still starts. I don't know if that's a mistake, if it's meant to not have a battery or not. But this particular version, I don't know about the other ones because I haven't built them. But this particular version does not have a battery. I mean, it still looks absolutely incredible. In fact, shall we just get it started? This would be where it does finally tell me there's no battery. You're going to need to install a battery to start this car. Loving the interior. We did also get a bit of purple on the seats, as you can see. Looking quite nice. Very faded purple compared to the bright metallicness of the outside there. I know it's not metallic. Was it metallic? Can't even remember. Too long ago. A little bit of purple on the bolts on the steering wheel as well there. And I do love all the carbon fibre in here. It is looking very nice. Along with our little fire suppression system, I'm guessing. Just by our passenger seat. But anyway, let's get this one started up. See what she sounds like. Spaceship grumble. Sounding pretty good. Let's give it some gas. Oh, little bit of turbo whistle just at the top there. Still sounding pretty mean. I quite like it. I wish when you put this blue dashboard in, I can't point at it because I've got full motion. The center of the screen right now, that blue dashboard, I wish when you put that in, it sort of got rid of the dials behind it. You see that red arrow, red needle? Yeah, I kind of wish it just blacked them out when you put them in. But one thing, it's one of them things, I could make it black out later on with some plate wides or something like that if I wanted to. But there we go. That's the sound of the beautiful MX-5. She's all finished. Let's get her on the dyno, see what the horsepower is and what the drag rating will be. I told you I had no battery in. I'm sure we can survive without the headlights being aligned. Bit of a shame, but there we go. I think that's the one issue I've come up with not having a battery. It starts, it runs. I put it on the dyno already. I haven't been around the track yet or anything like that. I have put it on the dyno once already to do the gearbox tune. But that's the only issue I've found with the car not having a battery where it won't actually let you perform an action is the headlight alignment. There we go. Interesting. All of these years, new game finally on the way, and I've only just learnt that. Anyway, let's get back to it. Back onto the dyno. Let's get our little inline 4 turbo-powered Mazda MX-5 Roadster touring car by Unus ready for the racetrack. That was a mouthful. 158 factory horsepower from that i4. How much have we increased it by? A gain of 155. Almost a brand new engine. 99%. Not quite a brand new engine on there. Only 312 horsepower from this little but mighty car. I mean, it doesn't need too much power. It's very lightweight. It should be all right on the handling. Let's get it onto the track and let's figure it out. The drag rating on this one is a B345. But before we do jump onto the track, let's have a look at the gearbox tune I've gone for today. It is, yeah, let's just look. There we go. I've gone for a 2.3 ratio. 55k in first gear, up to a reported 250 in fifth gear. To be fair, I don't think we're going to see maybe a little bit of fourth gear, but I don't think we'll see any of fifth gear. I've just put it in there as a safety net, realistically. Quite low at the front, and then it's sort of, yeah, we'll see how it goes. It should be able to put a semi-decent time around the track, maybe a really good time. We're aiming to beat 116 at 119 for the top spot, or 123.298 for the top 3. Can we get that from the Mazda MX-5? We do have a fully tuned stage 3 ECU in there, and if you haven't seen the short on how to easily do this every time, it's linked up in the top right hand corner here or in the description below, as well as one to do the carbs, a carb short tuning vid as well, both less than a minute long. check them out. Definitely worth it. If you do the carb and the ECU tuning, it'll probably help you out just a little bit. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get our beautiful MX-5 onto the racetrack and see what kind of lap times she can do. We are back on the racetrack with a lovely rear view of this customized MX-5. Looking nice in that metallic purple, but that's not what we're here for right now. We need to get some times down around this track. We're going to do a standing lap and then a flying lap. I'll show you a little bit of the standing lap, mostly if something funny happens or something really bad happens. And then you'll see all of the flying lap regardless of what happens. And whatever time we get for that flying lap, that's the time that's going to go down on the racetrack lap time board. Will it make it into the top 5? Will it make it into the top 3? Will we knock that Evo off the top spot? Probably not, but there is only one way to find out. Let's go with this beautiful MX-5 off the line. Bit of a slow start there, but again, it's the standing lap. We're not too worried about the standing lap. It's the flying lap that's the important one. That was a bit wavy there. I think we're going to let off the acceleration for this corner. Following it on around, back on full power, and see if we can whip it into this one. And then into the third one, still on full power all the way. There we go. That's what we like as we come up to the first banked turn. Not too shabby. Could have been quicker. It could always be quicker. I am not a racing driver in any way, shape or form. Not even on a controller. Let's get going. Flat through here, can we? Can we? Oh, we probably shouldn't have, but we did anyway. There we go. We'll see if that's going to be... We'll see if we can do better on the flying lap. Not quite full power, back on full power, letting off a little bit for the final corner. Back on full power, down the home straight and across the line for a 137 something. Dab of brake for this first corner. Back into second gear, please. Oh, whoa, dab of brake for this second corner. That got very wavy on the exit there. But then hopefully full power up through here and up through here. That's what we like. That actually seemed pretty good. Fingers crossed. We'll find out at the end. Let's keep going. It's coming up to the banked corner. We're going to need brake, drop down a gear. That should be all right. Not quite full power through the corner. Oh, but then we will do full power on the exit. The gear change did come halfway through the corner that time, but it is what it is. We managed to survive it. Full power through there, although the acceleration has dropped just a little bit. Can we get to over 200 before the banked corner? We can. That's all right then. Bit of braking down into second gear. Gentle acceleration for most of the corner. And then full power down on the exit. That worked well. Still in second gear. And now up into third for the banked corner that we're going to try and take full power if we can. Didn't quite work to plan the first lap. Oh, definitely went a bit better on the second lap. But still not perfect. But the exit was a lot nicer. So I'll take that. We're coming up to the 116. So I don't think we're going to take the top spot. There she goes. Will we be able to get it into the top 3 or even the top 5? I'll be happy with either. It helps if I get my gear change right. Oh, I nearly messed up on that corner. Final corner, around we go. Full power, down the home stretch. What can we get across the line in a 132.181? Not too shabby from our cheeky little MX-5. There we go. Let's get it back to the garage, onto that racetrack lap time board, and then see if we can tell this beast of a little car on for a nice bit of profit. Back from the racetrack with our little MX-5. I do think she's beautiful. I quite like this sort of metallic-y plum purple colour. I do think it's really nice. Sort of accentuated by the white on the rims, the black, obviously in carbon fibre we've got going around, and just a little bit of chrome. Also, I did notice one thing as well. I could have changed these door handles to body colour by just swapping the door one. It still had the same cards on the inside and everything. I think it was one number or letter up would have got you plain door handles instead of the chrome ones, which is something I normally go for, but something I missed on this one. So there we go. Should have had just a tiny little bit less chrome on it. But onto the racetrack. We came back from the racetrack. We managed to do a 132.181, which sadly doesn't put it in the top spot, or the top 3, or the top 5, or the top 10. But it is 12th out of 26, which isn't actually too bad. I'm quite pleased with 12 out of 26 from our little MX-5. Not too shabby. But now we need to talk about some facts and figures. Roll the B-roll. Let's get on with it. So here we are then. Here is what we paid for our beautiful MX-5. We bought the car for $14,822. And we could have made a bit of profit on that at the beginning, but we decided not to, and we carried on going. We spent $21,099 on the suspension and all of the engine bay accessories. The engine itself, fully tuned and ready to go with all its liquids topped up, was 16,471. The body, interior and frame was 12,790. Wheels and tyres was 10,582. Obviously, this one's got no license plates or bonus parts, so no finances on them. And then the painting and finishing come to 18,900, putting our total spend at 94,664, almost 100,000 on this little MX-5. Is there some money to be made from this beautiful little car? Let's get back in. Let's take a look. Here we go. As we jump back in, let's go into the car status. We spent 94,664 on this beautiful MX-5. Now all fully finished up to 100%, with that engine tuned from 158 up to 312 horsepower, almost 100% power increase. Thank you very much for suggesting the TK Turbo rear-wheel drive engine. Absolutely love that one. Ethan Fitzgerald, thank you. You always leave comments. I very much do appreciate it. But back to it, 94,664. Is there some money to make from our MX-5? With a sale of 126,100, leaves us comfortably with 31,436 profit from our beautiful little MX-5. I've enjoyed this one. It has been a lot of fun. It's not quite the dream MX-5, but we'll come to a custom one later on. Maybe, just maybe, we can ask Payne if he can add that sort of fastback roof style to it, because I do really like that one. I do think it looks good. But for now, it is time to say goodbye to our MX-5. Off you go. We will take our profit and be very happy with it. Now, as you might see, there isn't a wrecked car on the back of my trailer. This is my previous competition entry, the Audi R8 track machine I did. And what we're going to do for the next episode is something totally different and a little bit of fun. And we're not going to do any builds at all. What we're going to do is we're going to take our top 5, my show car builds, all of these, we're going to pop them each around the racetrack and drag strip and see which one is the best. And we are also going to include the baseline time from our beautiful Audi R8, which is why it is still on the trailer. Sadly, this one didn't come in to the top 5, so it doesn't get a place out here. I can't remember where it came, so let's go back to our show car board very quickly and take a look. If we run back inside, I'm going to go into photo mode to make my life a little easier. And it did come in, where was it? 8th place, there we go, with a score of 9.68 from 4 votes. So thank you very much to those who voted. We still got it into the top 10, just not displayed outside in the top 5. So let's get back outside, carry on. Where were we? Open we go, in we go. So yes, in the next episode, we'll be taking 6 cars, these 5 here, plus the Audi R8. We'll be doing a couple of laps around the racetrack in each of them, and then a couple of runs, maybe 3 runs on the drag strip each. Whoever gets the fastest time will be the winner of the day. But none of these will be added to the speeder board, the racetrack lap time board, or anything like that. It's going to be its own little entity, just my competition builds. We're going to see who can do what around the racetrack and down the drag strip. One last thing before I leave you all, and that's this beautiful Huna van. You all voted for it in the top spot. I say you all. It got voted into the top spot, which means we've made a Signature Series t-shirt and mug to go with this one. I quite like the art. I'll put it on the screen now. And then here it is on one t-shirt, and here is an image of the mug. Head online to virtualmechanic-shop.4thwall.com. Grab yourself a Signature Series t-shirt or a Signature Series mug and help support me, the Virtual Mechanic. But enough of that. Let's crack on. Hopefully, you'll join us back here on Monday when we will be racing my top 5 show car entries. The beautiful Huna van, the Mazda RX Wing 7, the Volkswagen musical masterpiece or showpiece, I can never quite remember which one it is, the Dodge Charger SRT Black Edition, something like that, the Nissan Z Street Edition, and obviously the Audi R8 track machine. That's all going to be coming on Monday, so do make sure you join us back here, and we will be having some fun racing these, taking these down the drag strip, seeing which is the best of my show car builds. And if you want access to these show car builds, there is a nice and simple way to do that. You can hit the join button below and become a member of the VM Garage Club for £2.99 a month. You get access to the private Discord, you get access to all my configs and liveries I create for the channel, place for us to chat, you know, priority comments, and a little badge next to your name and things like that. It's all a lot of fun. It's £2.99 a month, and it gives you something else to play with in-game. And most importantly, though, it does support me the same as buying merch. And also the same as these guys on screen, my channel members, absolute legends. I appreciate every single one of you. So thank you all so much. Lastly, thank you all so much for watching. Have a beautiful day, whatever it is you're getting up to. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Like and subscribe for Virtual Mechanic.